So, I live by the ocean, and anytime I visit places like this, or like this, I can't help but think, that needs a kraken. You know what I mean? So I'm feeling inspired to make a stormy kraken diorama with a lighthouse and raging seas. But I want this piece to tell a story. I think I have a good one in here, let me see. Ah, there it is.
A colossal tempest rages. Far below, a battered merchant bark struggles against the gale and swells. They are helpless against the onslaught. The wary seafarers cling to faith as they spot a light upon the bluff. But dread casts long shadows over their hearts. A titanic beast rises about them. In the inky black depths, the kraken opens its great maw, spawning a swirling maelstrom. Some men cast themselves overboard. Others fall to their knees in prayer. All abandon hope.
Okay, so that's a tall order, but I'm gonna try and make this work. I want to capture this scene in a glass cloche to give a ship in a bottle vibe. A dark walnut base will suit the dark theme of this piece. As for the scene itself, I want tall cliffs in the back with a lighthouse and a cabin on the top. I also want an active storm cloud above the scene with flashing lightning. And lastly, our helpless ship needs to be placed in a deep maelstrom in the center of the tentacles and raging sea. And all of this, of course, needs to fit under our glass. Oh boy, as per usual, I'm in way over my head and I have no idea if I can actually do this, but if I want to have a chance, I better get cracking. I'll start by turning the walnut base on my lathe. I recorded the wrong blank, so just pretend that's walnut. My god, it looks so nice after it's oiled and waxed. Now that the base is finished, I can start 3D modeling. The models for this piece will be printed at a very small scale, so I kept the designs simple and blocky. These goopy tentacles need an IPA bath. Much better. I printed the support tentacle in clear for a reason. You'll find out why later. I don't usually show this part, but prints always need some cleanup. First I snip the supports off, and then I file and sand with my micro rotary tool. Look at this tiny tree! A fresh coat of matte black primer, and these prints are all prepped for painting. Before I start painting the prints, I want to get the land built and sculpted. XPS foam is my go-to for the main bulk of the land. The reference I'm using has huge, rough, diagonal rock formations in the cliff face, so I cut the foam to replicate this. I forgot to dig a hole out for the cave, so I quickly dug one out with a chisel. Much better. Just need to glue this sucker down and we can get sculpting. Partway through, I decided this diorama needed some fancy thematic feet, so I quickly sculpted this in Blender and printed 4 of them. Then I painted them in a brassy gold color and stuck some foam on the bottom so they don't scratch anything. I'm actually very happy with how these turned out. The back was a little rough, so I gave it a quick sanding. Satisfying cleanup footage. And the land sculpting is finished. It's time to get messy. Luke at Geek Gaming Scenics has a great tutorial on the paint technique I'm using here. I still have a long way to go with my painting skills, but I've been learning some great techniques from these amazing creators. I highly recommend checking them out if you haven't already. Remember how I said earlier you'd find out why the support tentacle was clear? Putting some well-placed scratches in the paint will hopefully make it look like the tentacle is being struck by lightning. The center of the support tentacle is large enough to run some LED filament through. I had no idea if this would work, but that's what crafting is all about. Trial and error. But guess what? It worked! Oh hey, Jordy from the future here, coming at you from my editing desk. So far, my videos have been sponsored only by my dwindling savings account. Which is fine, this is my hobby and I wouldn't expect anyone else to fund it except me. But if you are interested in supporting me and getting access to all my 3D models, including the ones in this video, I have launched a Patreon. In there, you can find early access, behind the scenes footage, insights, shoutouts, and access to polls to influence my future projects. The link is in the description and I'll be eternally grateful to those of you who choose to support me, but please don't feel pressured. Only support me if you have cash to spare and you really want to, or if you just want the 3D models. That's fine too. I also have some Amazon links below so you can support me that way if you prefer. Okay, thank you. I'll shut up now. Back to the video. To get an accurate depiction of the erratic behavior of lightning, I used an Arduino to program the flash pattern. My boyfriend taught me how to code this and I love how it turned out. I also made the lighthouse do its lighthouse thing. The hole in the support tentacle is tiny and 14 wires need to run through it. That's why I used super thin magnet wire for the cloud LEDs. The insulating enamel needs to be carefully stripped by sanding. The larger wires for the lighthouse and cabin can be stripped normally. Now it's just a matter of soldering the LEDs. Time to get the ocean prepped for the resin pour. UV resin works a lot better than hot glue for preventing leaks with epoxy. I had originally planned to carve the maelstrom into the resin with my Dremel, but I didn't want to risk damaging the tentacles, so I went with a silicone insert instead. After the resin had partially cured, I added some baking soda to the shoreline to create the illusion of foam below the surface. It's time to make waves. I'm using my time-tested mixture of gel medium and baking soda for the rough surf. Time to create the storm clouds. I started by attaching LEDs to a simple frame. Polyfiber is loose and translucent, so it made for a good core to the cloud. Then I stretched and flattened cotton balls and covered the exterior. This ball of a cloud needs a little primping and shaping with my tweezers. I'm really happy with how the LEDs light up the cotton from underneath, but this ain't no sunny day. These clouds need to be a lot darker and stormier. I gave them a light coat of a deep grayish purple color with my airbrush. So remember when I said it would be a tight fit? I actually needed to lubricate the wires and filament in order to get them into the support tentacle. But it worked, so that's all that matters. I just need to map out the wires before I solder the board. Mighty fine perf board if I do say so myself. The final test, and it works! It's time to place our unfortunate seafarers into their watery doom. So sorry guys, but your fate has been sealed. Of course, our little lightkeeper also needs a place to live and give false hope to the aforementioned sailors. I guess we'll give him a lawn too. It's almost time to roll the glamour shots, and I want to say thank you for joining me on this journey today. I know these videos aren't meant to be tutorials, but if there are any techniques you want to see explained in more detail, please let me know in the comments and I will make a video in the future. Thanks so much for watching, I'll catch you next time.